All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. Izzy and Reid Nelson. This Week in Rec, Final Four edition. The Avengers, the 4th-seeded Avengers, and the 10th-seeded Fob Five or 11th-seeded Fob Five? 10th-seeded Fob Five advanced to the championship. Avengers over Ninja Turtles. Fob Five over Tropics. General thoughts of the night in basketball before we get real specific.
2 first-time champions, or there will be a first-time champion, which is nice to see.
For the 2nd straight season. Bulls.
That's right. Big Smash
nice.
Bulls. I mean, none of those teams had won, so a little change of scenery in rec.
I like that. I think that's awesome, personally. I think that's awesome. I was watching the game here, and I had this thought. I was like, we see the same guys in the championship. It's like DuPont, Ferber. You said this is your 3rd championship. Maher's been to a couple championships. Is that a coincidence, or is this, these guys know how to perform in the playoffs?
Well, I think the teams, I'm in the championship because of my teammates. I'm not carrying anybody to a championship. So it's kind of who you surround yourself with. It's chemistry. It's having good team basketball. And the way that some of these teams play, they don't have a chance of winning 4 games in a row. They can win. They can upset a couple teams, but there's only, like I said at the beginning, there's only like 5 teams that could probably win it. And 2 of these teams were one of those 5.
Okay. First game of the night, Avengers take down the Ninja Turtles. You'd think the Ninja Turtles have a little bit of the skill set advantage, but the Avengers, they've been playing together a lot longer. What are your thoughts on this game?
I was sitting on the bench or on the sideline talking to Junius, and I said I actually would rather play the Turtles than the Avengers for a couple reasons. The Avengers want it more, you can tell, and 2, the Turtles were more likely to implode, and they did. They don't have the chemistry. They made, I think the key. Well, Helmy actually won that game for the Avengers. I think he was killing it, and then he almost tried to give the game away. He made a couple. He had a turnover on a pick. He stepped in the lane too early on a Twan free throw. Twan missed them both, and there's another one. I forget what the 3rd one was. But those were 3 big mistakes, and then what happened was that chemistry. Jansen brought the ball up after he had just hit a 3. He got kind of trapped in the corner. He turned. Josh Hoyle started running as a cut to the front side of the basket, and then he decided to back up and run away. Jansen had already thrown the pass, went right to Noe. That was the game right there.
Well, and they were down by 3 at that point with about 20 seconds left, I believe.
Yep.
So, that was their opportunity to, potentially tie the game, and they ended up turning it over.
And Josh has got to finish his run. Anybody knows, if you're a basketball player, if you're running, if you're cutting under the basket to the front side of the rim, you cannot stop halfway there once you have your man beat and back up. He may have been thinking that he's trying to give Jansen the lane and he's trying to get out of the way, but Jansen already picked up his dribble. He's got to finish his run.
Yep, I do recall that. I didn't see it from the perspective you did, but I was also behind the camera. So the Avengers advance. They'll play Fob Five tomorrow night. Now, these 2 teams have faced off this season, and the result was?
Fob Five won. I don't remember what the score was, but Fob won. The Avengers were missing Noe. Fob Five was missing Ferber. So it'll be 2 completely different basketball teams.
They've got you guys size-wise, obviously. And we'll talk about the matchup here in a second, but let's talk about your game. You played a Tropics team that was missing Lorenzen, DuPont, they only had 5 guys.
Right.
They got into some serious foul trouble late. Walls ended up having a technical that turned into a 5-point possession, I believe. It could have been a 6-point possession, but Dustin missed one of his free throws. They were down 6. They were down 6 at that point. At the end of that, they were down 11, and the game was pretty much over. So,
here's the thing. Teams that get slighted, they feel like, oh, Dustin didn't play with us, he played with the other team. It plays into the advantage of that team. They end up playing harder. The other team is complacent. They expect to just walk through the game, which the Fob Five did not play with the energy that they usually do, especially when they feel that their backs are against the wall or the underdogs. So it played into the Tropics' hands. You have to think, Anton's really salty about it. The Gorillas dealt with it when Chris Maher, Derek Batiste, and Kevin Mayer all played for the Avengers, giving them 8 guys and leaving the Gorillas with Iron 5 missing their 2 best players. And the Gorillas should have won that game, and they blew it at the end. Talent was stacked against, but the Avengers played complacent. Fob 5 against the Rebels in the Final Four, maybe 2 seasons ago. Dustin DuPont decides to play with the Rebels. 8-on-5 once again. Fob 5 almost pull it out. A couple fouls down the stretch when against Fob. I turned it over. The video's been posted before. Turned it over, and Jansen hit that miraculous shot at the buzzer. Both those teams had.
And he broke his hand.
And he broke his hand before that, though. He did that with a broken hand. But those teams go into those games expecting to win, and the underdogs try harder. So I don't think Anton should be thinking, oh, if we would have had Dustin, we would have won. That's not the way it works. And we missed probably 15 free throws. We might have shot 50%.
Just a general thought here. What is the most memorable championship game for you? And the 2 that come to my mind was the Rebels Turtles when Jansen sat out. And the Turtles ended up pulling it out at the end there. And then last season, Big Smash Bulls, that went into overtime. Were there any other that kind of stick out to you as being real memorable championship games?
Bulls Big Smash was the best championship game that I've seen in rec. Hands down. I don't remember any other one going to overtime. And the Money's performance in the last 5 minutes of that game into the last 3 of the regular, I think 3 of the overtime and 2 of the final period was awesome. I mean, he won that championship in that 5-minute stretch. So in terms of overtime and individual display, that was the best championship I've seen.
So tomorrow night we got a matchup that's taken place numerous times. Well, and let me touch on one more thing. You don't hear people say, Bloomington South is the best anymore. We talked about this earlier in the season, how the talent it's transitioning. 3 of the 4 Final Four teams were from Fridley. And it's so. Are you going to start hearing people saying Fridley is the dominant league now, or do you think it's really even?
Well, in the past 8 seasons. 5, 6 Fridley teams and 2 Bloomington teams. The depth of Bloomington has always been better. The cream of the crop in Fridley, they may not be the most talented, but they play the best basketball together. The Avengers have been playing together forever. Turtles have been playing together forever. Fob 5 have been playing together for now 5, 6 seasons. A lot of chemistry there. The only 2 teams in Bloomington that have that are the Rebels and the Gorillas. Those are the only 2 teams that have had their same core for a long time. And the Tropics, but they're in and out of the league. The Red Devils have made some runs, but they're just not good enough.
Sure. Okay, so tomorrow night, Fob 5 Avengers. Obviously, this will be probably, the 6th, 7th, 8th time these 2 teams have faced off against each other. Keys to winning the game for both teams. Let's start with Fob 5 or what?
Well, it's trying to isolate matchups, getting the right matchups, getting whiskey, good shots. We don't want them to force shots, but we want them to get them good open looks and rotate the ball and catch them sleeping on defense. I think that's the key. We did that last time because we didn't have Paul. We wanted to slow the game down. I believe we were Iron 5. So it was nice to be able to slow the game down and get good shots, and that's what we did in that first game. For the Avengers, they need to find a way to contain Ferber on the glass. Now, Helmy's got the primary task of doing it. He's done it well in the past. However, is Ferber going to draw him away from the basket on pick and rolls and then flash to the basket for rebounds? I think that'll be the key for them. If their big guys can stay with the guys on the perimeter, especially on switches, that'll be the key for them.
All right. 8 o'clock tomorrow night in Fridley, championship game. The Open Championship is going to be at 7 o'clock, and we're going to try to get the All-Star game going. The All-Stars have been posted. You've been emailed. If you're not going to, or if you are going to be able to make it, please respond. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see Open and Rec face off again, or Top Flight and Rec face off again tomorrow night. Any parting thoughts before the final game of the season?
No, I think it should be a good one. And as of right now, the way that these 2 teams played tonight, the Avengers will win that game if those 2 teams show up. Fob didn't look like they wanted to win that game, and the Avengers played just as well as I've seen them play. So, we'll see.
Over under on Junius Ho's Let's Goes tomorrow night is what?
23.5.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. See you tomorrow night.